Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. Michael Gallup's return to the NFL isn't just a feel-good story. It's quickly becoming one of the most intriguing narratives at Washington Commanders training camp. After stepping away from football for an entire year, the veteran wide receiver is now making the kind of noise that not only turns heads, but demands respect. Released by the Dallas Cowboys and briefly tied to the Las Vegas Raiders, Gallup found himself at a personal and professional crossroads. Retirement seemed like the end of his journey, but something reignited the competitive fire within him. Now, at Commanders camp, he's showing the kind of hunger and energy that coaches crave. What makes his comeback even more compelling is how he's not content to be a name on a roster. He wants to be a difference maker. And the way he's moving, communicating, and competing suggests he's not just trying to survive camp, he's trying to thrive and force the team's hand. Dan Quinn, the man tasked with shaping the new-look Commanders, knows a thing or two about maximizing player potential. Last year, his philosophy helped the franchise make an improbable run to the NFC Championship game. And he's made it clear he's not interested in resting on reputation. That's why Gallup has a real shot. Quinn has already demonstrated a willingness to buck the status quo in favor of grit, performance, and locker room fit. It doesn't matter if you're a former Pro Bowler or a guy fresh off the practice squad. If you can help the team win, you'll get a chance. That attitude is perfect for someone like Gallup, who is trying to write a new chapter after injuries and inconsistency clouded the final years of his Dallas tenure. With Quinn and offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury paying close attention, Gallup isn't just another body in camp. He's a legitimate contender. Training camp battles are often decided by a few key moments: a contested catch, a crisp route, a block that springs a big play. Gallup has shown flashes of all three. What's encouraging is how he's bounced back from a minor hamstring strain that sidelined him during mandatory minicamp. Rather than fade into the background or fall behind the competition, Gallup used that time to dive deeper into Kingsbury's playbook and stay mentally sharp. Now, with pads on and reps increasing, he's stringing together consistent practices. And that's vital in a receiver room packed with talent and competition. Every snap matters. Every rep is being watched. And Gallup seems to know that. He's practicing like someone who understands the urgency, who's not taking a single moment for granted. The command and confidence he's displaying haven't gone unnoticed by teammates or coaches. While Terry McLaurin's contract situation continues to linger, the wide receiver battle has become one of the most compelling subplots of Commanders camp. There's no doubt McLaurin will be on the final 53-man roster once things are sorted, but his absence in full participation has opened the door for others to showcase their abilities. And Gallup is seizing that chance. Every practice rep feels like an audition, and he's treating it that way. Whether it's catching a deep ball in stride or blocking downfield on a run play, Gallup is reminding people of the skill set that once made him a 1,000-yard receiver. But more importantly, he's reminding himself, rediscovering that self-belief, that edge, might be the most crucial element of his comeback. The rust is still coming off, but the talent has never left. Gallup is proving that daily. The Commanders' depth chart at receiver is anything but open. McLaurin, Deebo Samuel Sr., Jalen Lane, Luke McCaffrey, and Noah Brown are considered locks. That likely leaves just one or maybe two roster spots, depending on how many receivers the coaching staff wants to carry into week one. This makes every preseason snap, every joint practice, every route, and every special teams contribution a potential deal breaker or deal maker. Gallup knows he's not just competing against himself or trying to overcome his time away. He's battling a crowd of hungry receivers like KJ Osborne, Chris Moore, Mike Strachan, and undrafted rookie Ja'Cory Brooks. The margin for error is slim, and every drop misread or missed assignment could tip the scale in favor of someone else. That pressure isn't breaking Gallup. It's fueling him, and it's adding a fascinating wrinkle to a high-stakes roster. Race. When you watch Gallup now, you see a player who's operating with a sense of purpose. The sharpness might not be all the way back yet, but the intent is clear. He's not here just to go through the motions or collect a training camp check. He's here to earn something. You see it in the way he explodes out of his breaks, how he high points the ball, and how he communicates with young receivers after drills. That leadership component might be the underrated edge he brings to the table. For a team undergoing significant offensive transition with a new coordinator and a revamped quarterback room, having someone like Gallup, a player who's seen both the highs and lows of NFL life, can be invaluable. He knows what winning looks like, and he's also tasted the disappointment of being cut. That duality brings perspective, and the Commanders staff clearly sees value in that. Still, no amount of veteran savvy can substitute for production. Gallup knows that better than anyone. His spot on his roster won't be handed to him. He'll have to earn it between the lines. That's why the next few weeks are crucial. Joint practices offer a prime opportunity to compete against fresh defenders, show his reliability in contested catch situations, and demonstrate he can still create separation. And once preseason games roll around, the lights come on. And that's where legends of August are made or forgotten. Gallup has to turn practice flashes into game-time impact. If he can make a few key plays in live action, especially against other teams' first and second units, his case to stay in Washington strengthens considerably. Otherwise, he risks becoming another veteran story that ends just short of a comeback. If Gallup doesn't make the final 53-man roster in DC, the work he's putting in now could pay dividends elsewhere. The NFL is a copycat league, and scouts are always watching. A strong preseason tape can open doors, maybe not in Washington, but in a receiver-needy team elsewhere. Injuries, poor performances, or scheme fits could create last-minute openings around the league. Gallup's experience, combined with a rejuvenated mindset, makes him a desirable insurance policy. For now, his focus is on helping the Commanders and proving that he's more than just a camp body. But make no mistake, this camp is also his resume, and every route is a bullet point. The effort, the attitude, and the visible improvement are all working in his favor, even if the final outcome remains uncertain. Washington has long lacked consistent depth behind McLaurin at wide receiver. That's why this year's camp battles are so essential. With a new coaching staff and new philosophy under Quinn, the entire locker room feels energized. Players are flying around with purpose, and the intensity is only elevated as roster decisions loom. Gallup's journey from discarded veteran to fiery competitor encapsulates that spirit perfectly. He's not the fastest guy out there, and he may not be the most athletic either, but he's experienced, he's locked in, and he refuses to be overlooked. That blend of humility and determination resonates in a locker room full of young talent trying to find their place. Whether it earns him a roster spot or just more respect in the league, Michael Gallup is reminding everyone at camp that he's not done yet. Not by a long shot. The Michael Gallup story is still being written, and right now it's one of redemption, grit, and second chances. He could have walked away, and did for a time, but something about the game kept pulling him back. Now, every day at Commanders camp, he's proving he belongs. His routes might not be perfect yet, his conditioning's still ramping up, but the fire in his eyes is impossible to miss. The locker room sees it, the coaching staff sees it, fans are starting to notice too. In a sport that often moves on quickly, from players once they hit a rough patch, Gallup is writing his own comeback on his own terms. He's not going away quietly. He's making noise with every snap, every rep, every moment. And whether he makes the roster in Washington or somewhere else, one thing is clear. Michael Gallup is back, and he's not ready to fade into the background just yet. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest move. We want to hear from you. The NFL world was rocked this week by a wave of whispers emerging from the Washington Commanders training facility, where sources suggest that head coach Dan Quinn completely lost his composure after a heated post-practice confrontation. Wow! The team's official channels have remained quiet. Insiders are claiming that Quinn, known for his intense defensive mind and usually cool demeanor, erupted in frustration following what has been described as a disrespectful and undisciplined altercation with one of his key players. Those present behind closed doors have reported shouting, slamming doors, and a now viral quote attributed to Quinn: "He doesn't play for me anymore." While no names have been confirmed, speculation is swirling that the incident could involve a prominent member of the defense, potentially even a starter. This isn't just a routine locker room dust-up. This could signal major disruption ahead of a season where expectations are finally beginning to mount for a long struggling franchise trying to reinvent itself under new leadership. This dramatic moment reportedly occurred just minutes after the final whistle of a padded joint practice session, where tempers had already been running high. Quinn, who took over the Commanders' head coaching position amid fanfare and optimism, had allegedly been showing signs of increasing tension during recent practices. Eyewitnesses say that the practice itself was unusually chippy, with players jawing back and forth and coaches intervening multiple times to restore order. The player in question, whose identity remains unconfirmed, may have been involved in multiple altercations during drills, culminating in what one anonymous staffer described as blatant insubordination toward Quinn and other members of the coaching staff. When pressed by the media, team reps declined to comment, but one veteran player was overheard telling a reporter, "Coach isn't letting that slide." If these reports are true, the team could be looking at an abrupt and potentially controversial personnel change just weeks before kickoff. Some league analysts believe this incident is part of a larger issue simmering beneath the surface in Washington. Dan Quinn came into this job with a mission: to fix the culture, instill discipline, and restore pride in a locker room that has seen too much turnover, too many disappointments, and far too little cohesion in recent years. But change, as they say, is rarely painless. The player rumored to be at the center of this storm is reportedly someone Quinn had high hopes for, an athlete known for their talent, but also for a reputation of being difficult in previous stops. There had been whispers even before training camp that tensions were rising, especially as Quinn pushed for a new accountability-first environment. If what happened at that practice is any indication, Quinn may be making it clear that no one is bigger than the team. The move, if followed through, would send a loud message: buy into the system or find another locker room. Veterans inside the Commanders' facility are said to be divided. Some reportedly respect the hardline Quinn is taking, seeing it as a necessary step to finally break from the chaos and underperformance that has plagued Washington for over a decade. Others, however, are quietly questioning whether this is the right time for such drastic moves, particularly if the ousted player is a key contributor. The team has struggled in recent years with consistency and identity, and while the hiring of Quinn brought a sense of new purpose, this kind of early season drama could undermine the very culture he's trying to build. Sources close to the locker room claim that several players tried to intervene during the argument, only to be waved off by Quinn, who reportedly ended the conversation with, "He's done. Not my guy anymore." This marks a potential turning point, either a masterclass in leadership or a gamble that could backfire spectacularly. NFL insiders are now buzzing about what this could mean for the Commanders' season. If the team is truly about to part ways with a starting caliber player this close to the regular season, roster depth and locker room morale could take a hit. Analysts have begun poring over the team's recent draft picks and free agent acquisitions, trying to identify who might be ready or even able to step up in such short notice. Meanwhile, fans are speculating wildly online, with theories ranging from a disagreement over defensive schemes to personal disrespect or even issues unrelated to football altogether. The players' social media accounts have gone silent, fueling rumors that something serious is happening behind the scenes. As of now, there has been no official word from Quinn or the front office. But if this is the beginning of a purge, then Washington might be entering a new, far less forgiving era under their fiery new head coach. This kind of behind-the-scenes blow-up isn't completely out of character for a team trying to rebrand its identity from the ground up. Dan Quinn, remember, was brought in not just to win games, but to overhaul a fractured foundation left behind by years of inconsistency, front office chaos, and public relations nightmares. With the new ownership watching closely and fans hungry for a turnaround, the pressure on Quinn is enormous. That pressure could explain his reaction, which some sources described as uncharacteristically emotional. One staffer noted he's been holding a lot in. This isn't just about today. This is about setting the tone. That tone, however, may come at a cost. If this rumored exile causes rifts in the locker room, it could destabilize everything Quinn is trying to build. On the other hand, it could galvanize the team and prove once and for all that accountability isn't just a slogan, it's the new standard. Rival teams are now reportedly monitoring the situation closely. If this unnamed player does become available, either through release or trade, there will likely be no shortage of interest. Despite the drama, the player is said to be talented enough to make an immediate impact elsewhere. One NFC executive told a reporter off the record, "We've had our eye on that situation for a while. If he's cut, we're making the call." This puts Quinn and the Commanders in a difficult position. Risk strengthening a rival by letting this player go or attempt to smooth things over and risk compromising the message of discipline and unity. There's also the question of compensation. If a trade is in the works, the Commanders would be hard-pressed to get full value, given the public nature of the conflict. Either way, a move seems inevitable. The only question is when and how. This locker room will respond when it does. From a media standpoint, this is a goldmine. Talk shows, podcasts, and YouTube creators have already begun dissecting every frame of post-practice footage, every statement from players and coaches, and every sideline glance that might offer a clue. Fans are refreshing Twitter feeds, looking for leaks, and dissecting body language from team interviews. This story is gaining traction, not just because of its controversy, but because it speaks to a larger narrative, the eternal clash between talent and discipline, ego and team, star power and structure. Dan Quinn's coaching legacy may very well hinge on how this plays out. Is he the culture-changing force Washington desperately needs, or just another hard-nosed coach who alienates his locker room? For now, the team remains in lockdown mode, but as every NFL fan knows, the truth always comes out. The only real surprise is that it's happening this early in the season. It's important to remember that as dramatic as this all sounds, we are still in the realm of rumors and speculation. No official confirmations have been made, and for all we know, the situation could be resolved quietly behind closed doors with a handshake and an apology. However, the tone of what's being reported suggests otherwise. The phrase, "he doesn't play for me anymore," doesn't sound like something that gets walked back easily. If Dan Quinn truly feels that a line was crossed that cannot be uncrossed, then the Commanders are facing a major test of their new identity. This incident, true or not, will shape how the rest of the league, and especially the locker room, views Quinn's leadership. Does he stand firm and send a message, or does he bend to internal pressure to keep the peace? Either way, this story is far from over. It's only just beginning, and everyone in the NFL world is watching. As we await more details, one thing is clear. Something unusual and potentially seismic is happening inside the Commanders organization. Whether this turns into a full-blown scandal, a footnote, or a catalyst for a transformative season remains to be seen. But if you believe the whispers, this wasn't just a bad day at practice. This was a coach drawing a line in the sand, daring anyone to step over it. Dan Quinn might be about to make the boldest decision of his coaching career, one that could either cement his legacy as the man who brought order to Washington or hasten his exit like so many before him. One way or another, the Commanders are at a crossroads. And in a league where momentum and unity mean everything, the next move might determine not just the future of one player, but of the entire season. Stay tuned, because this one's far from settled. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.